Thanks for joining us this morning as we review the final Christmas movie during our Putting Christ Back into Christmas week. Dun, dun, dun. Today we are reviewing Die Hard, otherwise known as...
Ho, ho, ho! Now I have a machine gun.
That's right. Well, I guess you can't pass it. What else are you going to call this movie? The movie selection this week is based on viewer polls, based on your feedback. And I'm going to let you know right now, right off the bat, viewers selection and spoilers.
Lots of spoilers.
We're not even going to do a non-spoiler section. This has been out since 1988. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to, I'm not suggesting that you do, but if you want to see it, then and don't want to be spoiled, then turn us off. Go watch it and then come back and watch the show again. Die Hard is a 1988 action film that unfolds as an off-duty New York cop, John McClane, played by Bruce Willis, becomes the unwitting hero when terrorists take hostages at Nakatomi Plaza during a Christmas party. McClane, visiting his estranged wife, must rely on his wits, resourcefulness, and the inhuman ability to run through broken glass to outsmart the ruthless criminals led by Hans Gruber and played by Alan Rickman. The film, celebrated for its intense action sequences, clever storytelling, and Willis's iconic portrayal of McClane, established Die Hard as a genre-defying action movie against a backdrop of high-stakes hostage situation. Now, you had previously seen this movie, correct?
Yes.
And
a couple of times.
Yes. So this isn't a new one for you. And you got all the, what would you, how would you see the difference with you seeing it is you saw it after a few years after it came out, right?
Yes.
You didn't see it in 1988, right?
No, I was a little young.
You little, yeah, way young. Like
before I was born.
Okay.
I'm not that old.
Okay. So your impression of it, then you see, I'll let you know right now. I saw it again, and when my sons watched it with me last night, and his impression was it was slow. Now I'll let you know when this came out in '88. Well, the beginning it takes a little bit going, but films back in that time had a much slower pace than what they do now, and this movie defined a lot of action flicks after this. It really set the pace. And there are several reasons why it would. Now you wouldn't, looking at right now, it's among all the other movies that it would have influenced. You're saying, yeah, it's all right, but it would have been brand new for its type, because there were several things that were done. Like the hero is basically the everyman, John McClane. He's somebody that most people can identify. He's in a situation he shouldn't. Okay, he's a New York cop. Other than that, he's put into a situation that he's way in over his head. When these terrorists come in, and we'll see some clips later. Man, these guys had it. It was like they had practiced. It was almost like a choreographed dance. It was really cool just watching them. Boom, 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 boom.
Almost
boom,
like
boom.
A movie.
Almost like it's amazing. Almost like a movie.
Almost like a movie. News report.
Well, okay,
these events have happened.
But it's you ever see this when these guys do these setups for doing like a hostage? They have like models of this setup where there's a desk that's supposed to be in a certain place. They know where that is. They know where this is. They don't have to come in and familiarize themselves. They know where everything is right off the bat. So John McClane, is pitted against these guys that are professionals. They know what they're doing, and he doesn't have a gun to start with. He doesn't have anything. He has to. I don't think he has a gun. He takes the first guy's gun. I don't think he has. He's a cop. No,
I don't know. It's been. I don't think
he did. I'm trying to think last night. Saying I don't think he did. Single action location. Now this is a single location setting. Sorry, this is the next thing that set this aside. Nakatomi Plaza. It's one setting. They're here. They're locked together, and he has to fight against all these odds. That was another thing that was kind of new in the genre, or at least setting the pace. Witty dialogue, definitely having that.
Oh yeah.
Yippee-yi-yay, all that kind of stuff. Call me Roy Rogers. All that was in there was the witty dialogue that Bruce Willis was kind of known for, was put in there. And Alan Rickman, who played Hans Gruber. He did an awesome job with.
I mean, seriously, if you don't have a good villain, the entire thing falls apart.
Yeah, and some of this was I wouldn't say ad-libbed, but they hadn't rehearsed it. The scene where Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, John and Hans Gruber get together the first time when they meet each other the first time, that was unrehearsed. They hadn't done it before, and it was more. There was a real naturalness to it because there's a real tension there in the scene and everything like that. But I think both those actors, I don't think you could have put anybody else in there. You could have cast anybody else in there. It would really not have come off the same.
It really talks to their both actors' ability to roll with it and just dive right in and be able to take it by the horns.
Yeah.
And be able to play their characters the way they should be played.
From what I understand, this was Alan Rickman's first Hollywood film.
Yeah, well, he definitely fooled a lot of people on that one.
Well, he's I think he was a theater actor, and so he had a lot of experience acting, stage acting. But this was, you just come to Hollywood and just put right into it, and he was almost going to pass up on it because he didn't want to, take the villain role and kind of be typecast, which exactly is what happened to him. He was he was the bad guy. So, and speaking of him, he was complex villain. So now you've got. This is the third thing that really set this movie apart. You have a villain who has a deeper motive and character, and he laughs at somebody when he's presenting himself as this terrorist, right? He calls it up and says, "These are demands," and he posts the phone and says, "I just read this in these guys in People magazine or whatever," where he just found out about these guys. He wasn't really interested in it. He was a thief. But when John McClane's wife, Holly, calls him, "Well, you're just a common thief," he says, "There's nothing common about me." He takes real pride. He's very debonair.
Again, the actor is fantastic. I wonder how much of his, if he was, like you're saying, used to the theater over a movie. I wonder how that impacted his performance.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of his, I think that served him real well.
Yes, I think it did too. Yeah, theater, you can't. It's like Livestream. I mean, if we make a mistake, we make a mistake. There. You can't cut that out. It's actually in post-production. I could cut it out. I can't add. I can't add. Yeah, it's already out there. So they also had this mix of humor that was in there. That it very tense. You have the balance with humor that's done, practical effects, a lot of stunts, a lot of stuff that's not too much over the top. Now, there was some stuff that's over the top. I mean, if he's running across glass like that, he's not really going to be able to walk very well afterwards. It's not going to happen. And then there was a real-time element of this. There was time, it was a minute for minute almost in the movie versus what was actually happening in real life. Like that one show. No, it wasn't 24. So all these things come together to really set this movie apart. That if you were to watch it now, you wouldn't realize that this was introducing these elements to this type of action flick.
Yeah, now it's so common in most action flicks.
Right. Yeah, that you would have necessarily seen. So I got some we got some comments here. Before I do, I want to make sure that say a couple more things here. We're going to be focusing on the themes, and part of that is living hard, not just the dying, be willing to die, but also living hard. And for grins, I want to put Nakatomi Plaza here between us. Not that anything's come between us or anything like that. We'll take a look now at some comments. What are you doing? You're going to try to... All right, throwing some comments up here. Breakfast Gun, catching y'all live for a movie I don't even remember. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, got some dedication.
That's right. That's right. He's in there. And then we got Francis. Hello. God bless you, brother. Die Hard is a Christmas movie just because it has a Christmas tree.
Well, you see, pagans use Christmas trees.
All right.
So that means no Christian can use trees.
I know you're speaking like an imam because you got the finger going.
That's got the finger going.
That means that you're in teaching mode there.
Oh, there are people that will make that claim. You can't use a tree because pagans did.
Yeah, well,
you can't breathe air because pagans did.
Wow. I don't think I could do that. No, because pagans do a lot of things that I do. Probably 95% we do the same thing. So there you go. Greetings from down under. What? What? No, you can't make that claim. Sam already has that claim, so you're going to have to move. I'm sorry, Maddie.
Welcome. Hey, you're getting a big fan base from Australia going on here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're gonna jump into a little bit of the unveiling Christmas theme. So we will get to the poll, and the poll ended up being a little more controversial than what I would have expected it to be, and it raised some good questions. There were some questions going back and forth. What really defines a Christmas movie, and so forth. But before we dive into that quagmire, let's unveil some of the Christian themes and symbols. Die hard, live hard. Now, it's a little bit more difficult to pull out some Christian themes in this, as opposed to a movie like It's a Wonderful Life that we did earlier this week.
Yeah, that was easy. That was a cakewalk.
That really was. And then Charlie Brown. Now, I will point this out before we go into the themes a little bit too much, is that if you will notice that there is a progression for things becoming less and less Christ-centered as far as Christmas stories go. You had It's a Wonderful Life, you had the angels and stuff like that. It wasn't necessarily mentioning Jesus' birth, but it was talking about heavenly intervention, divine intervention. And then you got the next one in chronologically would be it's Charlie Brown Christmas, where you definitely have it when Linus is talking about,
gives you the gospel right there.
Right.
In gospel message on the birth of Jesus.
Luke chapter 2, he goes through that. So that's definitely there. And then you have the Grinch. And now we've moved into more like the theme of Christmas is the true meaning of Christmas has now migrated. We'll take that one part to where Charlie Brown is talking about commercialism being bad, and we want to focus on being together and having this communion, this common fellowship together. But then the Grinch is just really focused on that, and then we just go downhill from there. Now, that's not to say that those are bad movies or anything. Like, just you see that message of Christ being fading into the background. It's like it's going into the bushes and disappearing. So one thing that you can say about this, the first thing would be die hard, live hard. We must live boldly. It's not an option for Christians. Christians are not supposed to just be mamby-pamby pushovers, but standing up for him, not necessarily for itself. We're to forget about our rights. Don't worry about that. It's all focused on him. It's not an option for Christians to be weak and just to be pushed over for Jesus. Jesus called weak-willed wicked. We talked about the wicked servants who buried his talent because he was afraid of his master. John McClane's self-sacrifice and resilience for people he didn't know other than his estranged wife is like Christ's call for us to lay down our lives for a greater purpose. That is why that's the very thing that Jesus did on the cross, laid down his life for us. And Christmas is the day it all started. So I guess you can say then that way it's like a Christmas movie, huh? Yep. There's a powerful message of not being afraid to die hard to self and to live wholeheartedly for Christ. So there is a bit of trivia here. I want to point out that it was said that there were 17. The costume department had 17 different shirts. Undershirts for John McClane during various stages of degradation during the movie. And so we're looking at something like this. And in 2007, Bruce Willis donated John McClane's undershirt to the Smithsonian Institution, and I'm betting he didn't wash it.
No, they had to make sure the stains were just right between, if you got a backup shirt because the actor ripped it in one, then you got to make sure the stains are the exact same. Or woo,
that's right. So how many? So 17 shirts he donated. Well, he just donated once. What happened to the other 16 then? Don't know.
That's a good question.
But if you happen to catch this during the movie, I mean, he starts out clean and then dirtier and dirty, and finally at the end, it's like, was he wearing a brown shirt to begin with? The answer was no.
No, that was supposed to be white.
It was. Okay, so that was the first theme, was to live hard and be willing to die for Christ. The second is for others, sacrifice yourself for others as well. Facing fear with faith. Now you say, well, how in the world how was there faith involved here? Well, faith is believing or trusting, and we put our faith in Christ, but he had to trust and he had to believe in something. Here's a question. What is the difference between a hero and a fool?
Difference between a hero and a fool. There is a very fine line. Very, very fine line. I guess the hero would be someone who's doing it for someone else. A fool would be more self-focused.
I could see that, because you don't say you're a hero if you do something valiant just for yourself. I mean,
you normally don't call yourself a hero. Well, you also don't normally call yourself a fool either.
Yeah. So, but there's another way to look at it too. I think that was a very good observation. Another way to look at it is the hero wins. If you go out there and go against the odds and you succeed, somebody says, wow, that was great. If you go out there against the odds and you fail, someone's going to look at you and say, that was stupid. What'd you do that for? So the hero, and sometimes the fool, must have some level of confidence for success. And in this way, the hero must have faith or believe. Those two words are interchangeable. And by the way, if threat insanity is here, he can confirm this with me. The Greek word pistis, which means faith or believe, is the noun form of the Greek word pistuo, which means trust or believe. And so he had enough confidence in himself, and he really just, the chance of him actually succeeding would be 100 to 1, but if not me, who else is going to do this? I've got to do it. No one else is coming in. So the Christian virtue of courage is rooted in faith. Number 3, spiritual resilience. In what way was John McClane resilient?
Being able to push through.
Yeah.
Push through, and in spite of those odds, in spite of being told, no, you're wasting your time. This is not going to happen. You're going to end up losing. This is not. You just give up.
Right.
You just give up. It's so much easier if you just surrender and let us do whatever we want. I mean, you don't have to suffer this much.
No.
You don't have to go through all this.
Yeah. So after John McClane tells Sergeant Powell, and this is a really critical time. I mean, the odds are against him, and he is just getting beaten to a pulp. His feet are bleeding. This is after he runs through all the glass and everything like that. And he's staying there, and he knows his odds. He's probably not going to make it. And so he calls up his buddy, Sergeant Powell, who's the black cop that's on the ground with all the Twinkies. And he's basically his liaison. He tells me, he says, he doesn't think he's going to make it out. And tell my wife, give my wife these messages. And Powell tries to reassure him that he will survive. And then John says, oh, that's up to the man upstairs. And at that moment, he realizes that, wait, I just met Hans Gruber up there. What was he doing up there? He must have been up there for a bad reason. And then he goes out to investigate. But he does tip his hat, at least in some kind of idiom, saying, the man upstairs. So we do acknowledge God in this movie, at least for some way, and not just a cuss word. I'm not saying that John McClane was a Christian, but he did have to dig down deep for spiritual resilience to keep going. I want to throw an image up here. This was the elevator shaft scene.
Oof.
Remember this one? Now, if you saw the movie, remember this. So he goes down, and he's being chased. He's in the corner, and I don't know, he might have lost his gun at this point, but he's got to get out of there with these German terrorists, or actually thieves, chasing him. So he reaches for this other window in the elevator shaft, and he misses that one and goes down to the next one. Now, that scene where he falls down the shaft, it was a mistake by the stuntman. The stuntman was supposed to grab that first vent going down, and he missed it. And he grabbed the second one, but they kept it.
Hey, if it looks good enough, yeah.
Yeah. Now if it worked all the scenes, because all those shafts are pretty much the same, but then he goes down that. But man, I don't know if I want to be that stuntman.
No, I'm good.
So number 4, And this is the last theme that I'm pulling out of here. And this is what you see more towards the end, unpacking redemption. At the end of the movie, John has proven his bravery to his wife and he's willing to give his life for her and others, even though they were recently separated. And it's unclear in the end of the movie whether they have reconciled their differences or not, but she's at least willing to take him back. And so there's one more piece of trivia I want to give here. And that is John McClane. The German guys, when they first come across him, they mock him they're sneering at him saying, oh, it's this American hero. He wants to be an American hero. John McClane is more German than the rest of the guys. Actually, the actors. The bad guys are led by Alan Rickman, who is he's English, right? And then all the other German guys that are in there, like the guy here, he was Carl. He's played by Alexander Godunov. He's Russian. So all these other guys are either American or some other thing, and he's the German guy here in real life.
That's for funny.
So, yeah, it all comes together like that. So here we have. I want to kind of rehearse some of these themes a little bit before we go into the poll, and take a look at.
We got some live chat going on.
Yes, I want to make sure.
Oh, there's Threat Insanity. He's here.
Oh, he made it. Okay, Threat Insanity. I want a little bit of clarification here. Going for Greek, I said that the Greek word, we're talking about faith and believing, because John McClane has this belief, at least that he's able to, at least has some chance of succeeding. So faith and believing, I say, are two things they're interwoven terms. One is a verb and one's a noun. In Greek, pisteuo is the word for belief or trust. Believe or trust. I believe in something. I trust something. And pistis is the word for faith. So if you could confirm that as I go through these different chats here. So
good morning.
Good morning, Adam. And then I decided not to go back together. I decided they got back together because they like it that way. Yeah, they were always kind of hedging, and you could tell that she wanted to be back with him, and he's berating himself for saying stupid things to her earlier. He really does want to, and he has the guy with the limousine stay around because he wants to get to. I think they really did, and I think there was that almost. It was a really romance there, unrequited romance that was going on. So yes, and here we have our answer. Repeat, please. Pisti. Okay, so pisti and pisteuo, right? I may be using the modern pronunciation for it or not. So that is one is pisti would be the faith, and the other one would be believing. Okay. So while we wait for the answer on that one, I'm going to go just kind of rehearse some of the different scenes here. You've got Hans, and these are the guys that are coming in, and they're so good. The bad guys, they are so well rehearsed. In this opening scene, we're introduced to Hans Gruber.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, so well paced together. These guys know what's that?
Nailing it, just boom, boom, boom.
Right. And there's more that's in there, and I can't put too much in because of any kind of copyright restrictions, so I got to be very careful about that. But since we're doing a commentary, it's fair use, and we can do all that. Yes. Here he is on the scene. He's looking for help. He needs it. This is setting up. There's nowhere out. He's got to. What can he do? Oh, he can call.
Mayday, mayday. Anyone copying Channel 9? Terrorists have seized the Nakatomi building and are holding at least 30 people hostage. I repeat, unknown number of terrorists, 6 or more, armed with automatic weapons at Nakatomi Plaza, Century City.
The wrong people getting the message.
Somebody answer me.
Yeah, so they everything he says they can hear. Unfortunately, that's part of it. Okay, so I got a comment here. I want to put this up. I haven't read the whole thing. This is from Francis. Amen, brothers. Let the armor of God be upon us, that we voice for the voiceless, being the way, live hard, being in the. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this. Being the truth and bringing the salvation to those who don't have it yet. Being the life. Yes. You know what? You're going to be the only Jesus a lot of people know. So
Yeah.
that is incredibly important. So he gets on the building and then he calls.
We already did that.
Calls them. Yes, we did. This is the unrehearsed scene with the two of them together. Facing each other for the first time. It's like, and Alan Rickman does such a great job of pretending like he's this guy, just so please don't hurt me. And he pulls it off.
Oh, yeah.
And John McClane believes him.
Please, don't kill me, please. Whoa, relax. I'm not gonna hurt you.
And that is brown shirt McClane, by the way. That is not to be confused with the white shirt McClane, who was started at the beginning. And so now we have the final scene where they are able to get together, and you do have the husband and wife. And it looks like there is the reconciliation there.
Maybe there's some sparks. Maybe there's something going on.
Yeah, and so there you have a theme of redemption, which can be a Christian theme too, because the whole point of Jesus coming to be here on earth to bring not only to restore a relationship with him, but also restore a relationship with each other as well. And our buddy cop who loves Twinkies. Restore a relationship. At least meet him for the first time.
There you go. Happy ever after. More or less. At least until the next Die Hard.
That's right.
Because you made too much money, we're putting you back in this situation.
Exactly. And that was a good segue. So what did this start? It started a whole lot of diehards. This guy just could not die. He went through and through. Now, it didn't do as well. The first one was the real theme breaker. It added a lot to the genre. It brought stuff in. And they could never really get back to where they were. But if you love Bruce Willis and you love seeing this kind of movie, then you get to see others. They did bring him back for the final one. What was that? 2013. And it really didn't do very well. But, still good to see him. Unfortunately, both Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman have died, and they're not going to be able to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep.
When did he pass away?
Which one?
Bruce Willis.
Oh, it's a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was really kind of, and you wouldn't expect because he was younger. You wouldn't have expected him.
He didn't die very, he didn't die very hard.
Oh, ouch. I hope he didn't die hard. No. Okay. That was. Were you trying to make a joke there? Because you
were dark humor.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
my typical humor.
All right, so I want to go over the poll, and the question in the poll was: is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And
talk about one way to blow up the internet.
Yeah,
I didn't see the poll.
Well, it wasn't terribly controversial, but it does go back and forth and say how do you define what a Christmas movie was? And I'm going to take some time to go through the answers here, and I will be looking at the chat as well to any of the responses, because I think this was asking some good questions. So the question is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Tell us why or why not. And you would see that 81%, now this is current, this is live, 81% of the responses saying, of course it is. And only 19, about 20% saying, no, Hans Gruber, it is definitely not. So our first response, and I do not even know if that's a pronounceable name, but the thing I love about Die Hard is that it isn't your typical action movie. John doesn't go around killing hundreds of paper people. He's fighting a set number of terrorists from the start and tries hard not to just kill on sight. Carl's brother was given a lot of opportunity to surrender peacefully, and his death was accidental. The next two In the boardroom, again, John just didn't kill them, but tries to get them to surrender. In this fight, he gets additional confirmation that they are super radical and none are willing to surrender. He is constantly trying to stop loss of life, both in the for the LA police and for the other hostages. He selflessly fights again and again to protect the innocent. I think most Christian movies are not directly about Christmas. Most Christmas movies are not directly about Christ himself, but they can champion values that we love during the Christmas season. These movies obviously have to be set during Christmas, which Die Hard is. So he is using the definition of saying it's Christmas movie because it happened during Christmas. And yeah, there is somebody said about him really restricting his.
Now, I think that it's a really strong point where it's not just he's killing them willy-nilly. It is, hey, he's trying to preserve life as much as possible. And as a Christian who believes in self-defense, I believe that that needs to be our position. If you're ever in a self-defense situation, you need to look at trying to preserve the most life possible. And that even includes the bad guy's life, if possible.
Yeah, God's the judge. I mean, how many times have we had in the Bible where you have a truly bad guy and he ends up being turned around, redeemed by God, and end up being good? Look at Paul.
Paul is a great example.
David
definitely did a lot of bad. It did a lot of bad,
a lot of killing,
even in God's own eyes, but yet repented of it. You can see the restoration of Joseph and his family. If his brothers who literally sold him into slavery, if he would have just wiped them out as soon as he saw him, he had the power to do that. He could just, with few words, execute them.
Right.
If he would have chosen to do that, he would never have had that restoration with his family. That relationship would never have been restored. The opportunity for his brothers to repent would not have happened, and those would have been, terribly missed opportunities.
Right.
So yeah, if at all possible, try to preserve human life.
We're not the judge.
It's also easier said than done because in those situations, you literally have maybe 2 or 3 seconds to make a life.
Well, let's be realistic too. I mean, what's a chance any of us are going to go through a situation like this?
You never know.
Yeah,
That's the problem. You never know.
It is good to keep in the back of your mind that God is the ultimate judge. We are not. We can judge actions. We can even judge people if there's certain situations like they're going to be going for a position. We have to make a judgment call whether that person's going to be good for the position or so forth. But ultimately, we're not the ones that are going to be judging a person for eternity. That's God's decision. And he sees things that we don't see. This is we're talking a little bit earlier. I think Thomas Hall said, much like the Rocky series, I think you were referring to our list of Die Hard and the sequels to this one. The first one was a masterpiece, and both heroes were more human than superhero. Yes. Yeah. I guess maybe we have a little bit of superhero fatigue right now. You have these guys that can swoop in and can do anything they want and, fill in the blank. They do have some limitations, but we are limited by far. And it's a lot easier. I think you get a lot more behind a character when that character is limited in what he or she can do. Yes, Adam, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you Bruce Willis did pass away. I'm not sure exactly how long ago it was, but it was fairly recent, last couple of years, I believe. And it's kind of surprising too. I mean, some of these actors, and then Alan Rickman also. Then Bruce is still alive. He has dementia though.
That's what I was about to say. You wanted to double check, but I don't see that.
Am I giving bad information here? I could be.
Yeah, disease.
I am so sorry, guys.
I'm about to say, because you said that.
I am so sorry. I am starting a bad rumor here, and I am totally.
He is not dead. That's the first thing that pops up when I looked at it.
All right.
It says Bruce Willis is not dead. He is alive.
I thought maybe it's something I read that it was wrong. I apologize.
Whatever your research was off on.
And that's why, you guys can argue with me. I could be wrong on things. Bruce is still okay, but he does have dementia, which is sad.
That is rough.
Yeah, that is rough going through that. I think Bruce Willis is very sick. I don't think he's passed away. Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell the guy who's the dummy over here that he is still living.
Hey, like you said, this is live.
That's right.
All
That's right.
mistakes are out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut that out in post-processing. It's gonna be gone. You won't know. I'm gonna change history. There's such a huge dichotomy between the Old and the New Testament. So many mistakes in ancient world were punished by death. It's hard to understand where that line is between defense and offense.
I'd say in the situation that I was referring to, it would be something that would be, it would have to have led to someone's death to be able to respond in that sort of level of defense. But if you're talking about the Old Testament, that there's death sentences in the Old Testament. I mean, God was trying to was setting up the situation for him to enter into creation in order to redeem humanity. And that is the ultimate good that needed to come through.
Yeah.
And if someone's choices led them into conflict with that, it had to be dealt with in order to make sure that good and that salvation can be given. And that option can be presented to the people.
Yeah, you can see where it was a different world back then in context. So if God's putting his word within them, he's putting in the context of what they're living with at the time.
And that's a question of cultural rules, or is it a moral rule?
Right. Those questions are in there too. And you also have, you look around today and you think, how many people are getting away with stuff that really do deserve things? Epstein. So you do want to see justice served where it needs to be served, and sometimes those punishments should be pretty hard for the severity of the crime that's there. And yes, Francis, I made a boo-boo, little tiny boo-boo.
Little tiny boo-boo.
He's still alive.
About man's death.
He's still alive.
And then I make a horrible dark joke based upon it.
He is actually fighting it good. Okay. Oh man, I'm so sorry for all the Bruce Willis.
Grill him. Grill him. He deserves it. He deserves it.
Another win for British. My American brother did not know. Yes. Okay. So now that we've totally messed that, Bruce Willis is still alive. I want to continue with some of these. I don't want to belabor this too much, but there are some really good comments in here, and I do want to have this out and give you guys a chance for voice and everything. This is Nevin515 says it is not a Christmas movie. It is the Christmas movie, with Home Alone being a respectable second place, The Nightmare Before Christmas being the third and final acceptable Christmas movie. I don't want to go that far at all. Yeah. I think he's looking at.
I disagree. I'd have to put, a lot of others before these.
There's a lot of. I mean, we looked at some this week. It's a Wonderful Life is a great one. I think even Charlie Brown Christmas is a good one. It has some really good themes in there. So yeah, there's some others that I would have to disagree.
I have to put Little Drummer Boy probably at one of the top spots.
Really?
Yeah, I love Little Drummer Boy.
Okay.
And then got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. If you haven't...
Are you talking about the claymation type of thing?
I'm talking about claymation, man.
Oh, yeah. That whole series.
If you haven't got a feel, I kind of have a thing for the older ones.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
All right. So we have Sherry here. And thank you, Sherry, for your response concerning John McClane's getting back together with his wife at the end. That was one thing that you said that I think I pulled in here. You had a comment previously on that. Forgiveness is a central theme in the Bible and is a central theme on this podcast among your subscribers. I'm receiving forgiveness for saying a man's
forgiveness and grace. We have both of those right here,
and mercy.
Live.
And mercy.
Yep. And lots of mercy.
Grace and mercy. So then we got Helsinki Sky said, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun. Self-explanatory, really. Yes, indeed. That is the nickname of the movie from our friend in Finland. It takes place during Christmas, John Paul says. It takes place during Christmas time. So, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. So is Gremlins. So,
Not for gremlins.
Keep that in mind, because there's another comment later that's based off this I want to talk about. And here we go. I'm gonna skip over psychic because there's a really good discussion that goes back and forth. I'm just gonna go over. My friend Ryan says Die Hard is a great movie. Takes place during Christmas. The main plot of most of the subplots have nothing to do with the holidays. This could have taken place during New Year's or Valentine's and gotten the same movie with a different coat of paint. And what do you guys think of that? Is that true? Is that true? Your question is so vague. And so this here we go. JRT Junior 01 puts this, he frames it correctly, I believe. He says, you're asking if Die Hard, his question is too vague. If you're asking if Die Hard is associated with the Christmas season, then loosely, yes. If you're asking if it's got something to do with what Christmas is about, then no. Nailed it.
He's like, yeah, this was really a really good response on this one.
Okay, I'm gonna read one more, and then I'm gonna hit the comments, and I'm gonna go back to that one comment up there that really you had a bit of a back and forth. And hey, the argument is part of it. As long as we can agree to disagree, we love each other. But some of these are good questions, because when you ask these tougher questions, what do you mean by Christmas? What do you mean by Christmas music? Right? Sorry, quoting another John. So Maddie Skilling said, I like 4929's answer, and we'll add this. Die Hard is also about a man trying to get his family back. He sees he is losing what he values most, and decides to go out to LA to be with his family and try to reconcile them. Yes. So that is our
more.
What's that?
Read more.
Oh, there is more. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, but he does go out, and that's what our last theme was. Thank you for capturing that. Obviously, he has some trouble with it because the emotions get the better of him in the start. When everything goes wrong, he puts down his own life and safety in jeopardy and tries to save innocent people. The argument John has with himself after the Japanese boss is killed shows he wants to save as many people as possible, but just can't throw his life away to do it. John shows all of the best attributes of Christianity by sacrificing his own life and safety for others. Could the movie be set another time of year? Yes. But the themes of reconciliation and joy in with Christmas ties in with Christmas better because of the family aspects of the story, and also works against the good guy, bad guy aspects of Christmas better than any other time of the year. This is a pretty good argument. Thank you for sharing this. I did read this earlier, but yeah, I think he has a pretty good argument to saying, you know what? There's some thematic things that can be pulled out of this to say, gotcha, buddy. And this is a really good arguments, things that you can bring up and talk with people if you do watch this movie with people that aren't Christians and say, hey, you know what? There's some parallels here. All right. I did say I was going to flip over to the comments here and pop out of this, look at some comments.
Got two. Yep.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. It seems like, so this is Adam said, it seems like society did far better when punishments for crimes were harsh. It strikes me when God says, put away the evil from among you. Yeah, that is true. Why does God hate sin? Is he just upset that we didn't listen to him?
No, because it's cancerous to those who partake of it, to such a degree that it causes death in a way. By that I mean the spiritual death of an individual, be it very slow and painful in some situations where they just empty themselves out and become this sin. This becomes everything about them, and they become just oriented around this, and everything else dies in their life.
Yeah. And
it's just such a cancer.
Yeah. God hates sin because it destroys us, and he loves us. It's like a 5-year-old. I see my 5-year-old child is going for an electrical outlet, and he's got a couple of screwdrivers or something like that. He's going to stick them in there. I would yell at him, say, no, don't. And he might be shocked. I said, why are you yelling at me, Dad? You don't you love me? And say, yes, I do. And it's because I love you. I don't want you to get hurt. Let's not do that. This is not healthy. So then Adam follows up. Sorry, off topic. And no, it really is on topic what we're talking about. So this last comment I wanted to touch on here, and this is where we get into a little bit more of the controversy. I think we've already set the tone to give the answer to say there are two definitions here of what Christmas is. There is the Christmas season, and there is the Christmas time that was original, the reason for the season, and that is Jesus' birth and God incarnate to be with us and to do more than just light candles or decorate trees and stuff. Syke says, if we want to get technical, which popular Christmas movie celebrates the birth of Jesus? If a Christmas movie is defined by the time of year the plot is set, then there are some horror movies and some of the more adult variety that would be Christmas movies. Such as, I think he was going to give an explanation, but then you have a reply here. He said, do all Christmas movies have to celebrate the birth of Christ, or can they be a champion of values that we hold dear at the time and celebration of Christ's birth? Family, charity, generosity, kindness, joy, Christmas, and the attributes of value more at Christmas time than are really Christian synopsis. He replied back and said, they can champion those things, but how many Christmas movies even mention Jesus? Wouldn't they just be family movies set in December? What about the other 364 days of the year? Can we not honor families and be charitable and kind and joyful in mid-July? And he's got a really, really good point here. And the answer is...
It continues. Oh, sorry. July, ...
I'm sorry, you are correct. Maybe I'm being too technical, but I don't mean any disrespect, but I've been guilty of it too, and this is my first Christmas as a Christian. Congratulations, Syke.
Welcome to the family.
Good to have you. And you're very insightful for being a new believer. This is good stuff. You're confusing movies like Santa Claus and Jingle All the Way with some kind of movie like, quote, the super religious movie about Jesus and why you should believe in it, and you'll go to hell if you laugh during the life of Brian, because Jesus, God, and Jesus 2, the second coming. Wow.
No, I'm pretty sure.
This is where the dialogue is good, because you're reaching out to somebody, right? I'm not confusing those family movies with holiday themes, and what the real meaning of Christmas is about celebrating the birth of Jesus. What does an absent father becoming Santa have to do with Jesus? I'm not saying a Christmas movie has to be a nativity scene, but not even. And I don't see.
And there's no more.
No more. Okay.
So I don't know what happened there.
I don't know either. So I think we can have a pretty good discussion going back and forth about what
defines a Christmas movie. And I admit, if you have shows that have Christian themes that at Christmas time, are those Christmas movies? Sure, they can be. I think the only thing that I would point out is the danger of taking Christ out of everything.
Yes.
And then you're just left with, it's just a good feeling that changes hearts. And that's what we should really focus on, is just the good feeling itself. Never mind that feelings themselves are more fickle than anything else in this world.
Right.
They change with the wind. You can have a good feeling at noon, and by 2 o'clock, you're in a bad slump.
Right. So, no, I think we do need to remember the reason for the season. That is Christ. It is Christ Mass. And you got to be careful, because Christ, meaning Messiah, is really only referring to him. So when we take that and we put that title on other things, what does that do? What does that do for his name? We're associating his name with other things that aren't. We got Lethal Weapon. That was done during Christmas, right? Yep. Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3.
That was during Christmas. A Long Kiss Goodnight, 1996. Thriller that takes place during Christmas. Gremlins. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. A crime comedy has a Christmas backdrop. Batman Returns. Another Christmas movie. So
I think they even have a Christmas scene in that one too. So there you go.
Yeah, you could probably stretch it for each of these. And the reason why we're doing the Christian themes in here is so that we could use this as points of discussion, not necessarily a way to justify these, to say that these are now the definition of Christmas is Die Hard. Bruce Willis running around a skyscraper shooting up bad guys. How would you feel if you had a birthday that no one celebrated your birthday, they all talked about something else going on. Now, you might have the unfortunate coincidence of having your birthday on the 4th of July or maybe on Christmas itself, and then you experience what that is like. But if people ignored you during your birthday, they acknowledge it's your birthday. They still even called it. Hey, this is Becky's birthday. We're celebrating Becky's birthday, but we're doing nothing about Becky at all. We're totally ignoring Becky. Yeah, that's kind of hurt, especially if it's something that is set aside to be a holy day, a holiday, where we get the word holy. Holiday from is a holy day. Setting aside, these were days that we set aside for a purpose. You know, even the Sabbath, you set aside. It was for Jewish people to be set aside, not just to rest, not just to kick up your feet, you know, play games all day or whatever. It's to set aside for a specific purpose, and that's what made it holy. Something that was holy was something that was being set aside. First Blood was set at Christmas.
I think First Blood's a movie.
Yes.
But yes.
That's Rambo, right? Rambo First Blood. I'm pretty sure that was that's the one.
I never saw it. Not my Christmas list.
Sylvester Stallone. He's a Vietnam vet, comes back and is totally misunderstood and ends up fighting all these guys that are thinking that he's some crazy guy in the woods. So, and then we got, I want to make sure that I hit all these. Okay, I'm back again.
This is happening.
Your brother in Christ, Ellie, we're so cool last night. Awesome job, young people.
He's talking about the young adults group, the Apologetics Young Adults group I was at.
Okay.
If you caught that live stream over, I think it's Steel Valley Church YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're just talking Christmas, Jesus, and Islam. Well, actually, Christmas, Jesus, and Muhammad specifically. I want to just compare that with Allah and go through the comparisons between the two. So we did that live yesterday with David S.
Good job. I missed them. Okay, coming up next week, we are taking Monday off. That is Christmas Day for us because
no live
on
stream.
The Western side, not Eastern Orthodox. So I believe that there's a difference that comes in January. We have Christmas. We're taking us off. No live stream on Monday, but coming back on Tuesday. You don't know about this. It's either Tuesday
He's
or
referring to me not knowing about
he
this.
does not know about this because this is coming up. I have not talked to him about this yet. Still surprised. So I'm not sure which is going to be which date, but I'm going to put this up. We have coming up next week sometime. We have a review of Aquaman. We're going to review that. It's out in the theater. Not yet, but it will be this weekend. We're going to review it
today.
It's out today?
It's out today.
Yes, Friday. So it would be out today. And then I had a wonderful chat with this fellow, ChatGPT. And I discovered some things that you do not ask him. Okay. And there's a rather lively, interesting discussion that happens. Some things that ChatGPT believes and says, and some things that you probably shouldn't talk to it about. But yes.
That should be fun.
Yeah. So
that should be good.
That happens.
ChatGPT, Christian versus AI debate.
Yes, that's right.
Live.
That's right. And to everybody, we're going to sign off and say Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a very good night.